that we're going to have about video. Moriam and I will discuss in 20 minutes roughly as much as we're going to try to cram it as much as we can about video in 20 minutes. I myself will give you as much information as possible about video. Why should you want video? What can it do for you? And then Moriam is going to get into more detail about how does it work, what kind of videos can you make, things like that. So I would like to start off with why are we as humans so addicted to video? Why is it that it makes us tick? And I'm going to show you a little video here to kick it off, and then I'm going to explain to you why I showed that video. So here it goes. This is opening clip of Born Legacy. Not that it matters, but just if you're interested. But the reason I show you this is back in the day when us humans were still hunter-gatherers, we were constantly on the lookout for things that moved, things that made sound. Because if we didn't, that wolf would have gotten us. If that wolf would have gotten us, humanity would not have existed. We would not be making fashion. I would not be standing here talking about video at all. So it's a vital element of our behavior to be open to anything that moves and makes sounds. So knowing this, I want to give you some other facts, because adding video increases your conversion by 49%. So think about that. 49% of the people who are looking at your item, at your dress, at your jacket, will buy it more than if you just show a picture. And it's great to have more sales, but if people are going to return it, what's that sale worth, right? So adding video decreases your or the chance of somebody returning it by 57%. So 57% of the people who buy something are less likely to return it. And of course, these are hard figures, like number crunching figures that you use as e-commerce manager, but there's also like a softer side, and that's 96% of the people who have bought something and have been shown a video said it made their shopping experience much more easier. And that rubs off on you as a brand or as you as an online retailer. So it's pretty nice to have all these numbers, but what is sale or an increased conversion or lower returns worth if there's nobody on your web shop, right? It doesn't make any sense. So how do you get people to come to your site? You can do a crazy Google search. It's going to work, guaranteed, but none of your visitors is going to type in this crazy kind of thing. If you add video, you can increase the chance of getting on the first page of Google and even on the first position by 53 times. So 53 times more likely to get on #1 page of Google. And we all know nobody's going to the second or third page. You're going to click on something else and it might be your competitor. So add video. So it's kind of a no-brainer to add video, right? Why shouldn't you want video? Well, I can imagine you have no idea how it works. What kind of video should I make? What is it going to cost? All those kind of things. And my colleague Moriam here is going to explain to you exactly how does it work, what kind of videos are we going to make, all those kind of things. So Moriam, can I give you the stage?
Thank you, Jelle. Can everyone hear me? Yes, great. I've got too many things in my hands, so I'm going to kind of improvise a little bit. So Jelle has basically explained to us why video is so important. And now what I want to do is talk about how do you actually get started. And the first thing I'd like to discuss with you is getting started and the difference between mobile and desktop. And the truth of the matter is this. We have two different types of users. You have the mobile user, of course, and you have the desktop user. And they use internet and they view video and experience video in a very, very different manner. So we really have to take this into consideration when we're creating content for them. The mobile user tends to use video, or use her mobile rather, for orientation purposes. You know, the mobile, I'll try and get it out of my pocket. It's not very handy. Sometimes you've got a bag in your hand or something else in your hand. And basically, it's pretty difficult to do too much at the same time on your mobile. So we do use it on the way, when we're going on the go, but we can't do very much with it. So when we use our mobile, we're finding information, we're storing information, we're doing our research, and then later on we actually aim to, once we're sitting behind our desktop, we aim to be able to take action and do more with it. So the desktop experience allows us to make decisions. We're often at home, we're behind our desks, we're feeling more comfortable, we have our bags, we have our wallets, etc. We can really take active decisions and make active choices with our desktop. And we need to realize this when we're creating video, for what kind of type of video or format video is useful for the viewer. That's also part of the buyer journey. Let's move on to the different types of video that we can use. I've listed, or we've listed actually about 3 different types, but are specifically very, very useful for conversion purposes. The first is the product video, and I'm going to go straight into it and show you an example of one product video. So it's pretty simple, product video, purely focused on the item, not very long, this is approximately 14 seconds. But it has a specific function. I'm going to get out of the way, just in case. So the function is, one, it's to demonstrate the item which is being sold. Also, the goal is to provide a real-life experience, or as near possible real-life experience. So we can only really do that with video. And the third, of course, is to gain trust, because as soon as we see an item, it's moving, it's on somebody human, then we can relate it much more to ourselves. But there is also a sales objective, and the sales objective is to convince the buyer, or convince the viewer, to buy it. The next video I'd like to show you is a macro video. And a macro video is a little bit different. It's kind of like a product video, and it goes into more detail about certain qualities, about certain features that you really want to address to the viewer. What's its function? Well, the macro video has its goal to specify important details, and in the example of the Tenson video, you saw that it's really about a waterproof jacket. You saw the raindrops dripping off. It's also to elaborate on the quality, so it's great to use when you have a product or an item which is very specific, which fulfills a specific need or desire. The objective is slightly different. The objective, namely, is to confirm the viewer is making the right choice. Normally you would have seen a product video before, which gives a general overview, and once somebody has chosen to look at a macro video, they've actually already made the decision to buy. They just need one little push. And these kind of videos with so much detail basically confirms this is the right decision, this is a good choice, this is a good investment, I'm going to buy it. The next is the lookbook video. I like lookbook videos, and they're very handy, and here's one. It also has a very specific function: to inspire, to show different item combinations, and to help the viewer see their own possibilities. So the item combinations are great. It'll tell you how to wear it. You can wear this red jacket with these black trousers, etc. But the difference with being able to show the viewer to see possibilities is that she or he is able to think, well, hey, I can combine this with this and this and this, what I've already got at home. And that basically means that I'm able to justify my purchase. If I have the idea that I can buy 1 or 2 items, let's say I spend 100 euros, for example, and I know that I've got another 4 or 5 things that I can combine it with, it justifies the choice for me. It makes it really, really easy. I have no problem in spending that money. So we've looked at the different types of video, and now we want to understand if it's possible to do it on a budget, and it is, absolutely. So we're going to go through everything which is needed in order for you to be able to film it yourself, or with the tools and the resources that you have in-house at the present moment. So there's a lot of things that come all together when creating a video. You need, of course, a setting, and that could be a corner in a room, it could be an entire room, but you need somewhere to film it without too much distraction. You need to think about the backdrop. Should it be neutral? Should it have color? Should it have some kind of texture? All of these things you need to take into consideration, and you also need to realize that it has to also work with the outfit that's being portrayed. These days, smartphone cameras have a fantastic camera. You can film it Ultra HD or 4K. Your iPhone is probably fantastic. So it is absolutely possible, technically. You need a model. Maybe you don't want to hire anybody in, but maybe somebody within the company could pose as model. It's possible. Think about hair and makeup. The model also needs to look good, not only the clothing, but the model herself or himself. And you need somebody to hold the camera, even if it is a smartphone. They need to kind of not have shaky hands. It wouldn't be very handy. So these things are important. Next, you've created your video. It looks fantastic. You've had a fantastic setting. It needs to be edited. Everything needs to come together. You need to think about sound. You need to think about possible lighting, or other kind of effects that you might want to use. You also need to think about the timing of your video and the purpose of your video. And finally, at one point, it needs to be uploaded somewhere online so that it can be presented to the world. So in this kind of scenario, it is absolutely possible to do it on a modest budget, but there is one thing you do need to consider. There's a time investment. It does take time, and that's fine as long as you're aware of it and you make time for it and you plan everything perfectly. It's absolutely doable. So we know what kind of videos work, we know what kind of videos are effective for conversion. We want to go from video marketing to video sales, because we want it to convert. We don't want to just use video because it's nice to have. We want to get the results from it. We want to see a return on our investment. So we've got a couple of tips, 6 in total. I think it's really important to focus on what you do best. And if you're not very handy with the camera, then it might be an idea to hire somebody else in who's completely focused on doing it. You could also choose to invest and learn in everything you need to know about camera. It's absolutely an option. But if that's not your thing, and if it's not your focus, maybe you shouldn't do it. When creating a video, and this tends to happen much too less of the time, you need to think beforehand about what you want your video to do. Do you want your video to entertain people? Do you want your video to inform people? Do you want your video to sell? Do you want it to convert? At the moment you want it to convert, you need to think about this beforehand, not after, and then create a video that actually achieves that. So we have the 3 examples of the product video, we had the macro video, we have the lookbook video. These are great examples of videos that actually convert, and whether you put them on social media, on your e-commerce site, or with an affiliate blogger or whatever, then use the type of video that's actually going to give you the results that you're actually looking for. Use shoppable, interactive video. Give the viewer the option to choose, to do something more, to see more products, to see more of your items, more of your collection, to buy. In fact, if you put a button on your video, the viewer will click on it. The majority of people don't put buttons on their video. Look at how YouTube, for example, works. I'll be really honest, I'm not a big fan of YouTube, but sometimes you do have the option to click and to go further, and when the option is presented to you, people generally click on it. Don't focus only on the consumer, so focus also on your retailer, or people that are buying in from you, your business-to-business channels, because they also need video. They also want to be convinced that the product or the item that they're going to buy in is great, and video is a perfect way to demonstrate that. Host professionally to profit from search. So I'm saying avoid the YouTubes and the Vimeos and the free platforms. And the reason why is because of the YouTube effect. Jelle earlier touched on the fact that video appears 53 times higher in Google search results, and he's talking about organic. So we're not talking about video advertising, we're not talking about using Google AdWords or anything like that. This will happen organically if you do it in the right way. And the only way to do it in the right way, especially if you want your visitors to stay on your website, is to host it professionally. So it's a video SEO trick, which I can talk about later on in the talk. But if you want your viewers to go to your website, to stay on your website, don't give them any distractions. I don't know if you've heard of the YouTube effect. The YouTube effect is you go onto YouTube, we've all experienced it, you go onto YouTube, you're looking for something, you see a fantastic video, and you watch it, and then on the right-hand side, you have a lot of other suggestions, because YouTube's goal is to provide you with as a searcher, the most relevant content. So it wants to give the searcher everything that he or she needs. The only thing is that if you as a brand are on YouTube and you want to show your product, then you don't really want your visitor or that visitor to go to your competitor. So be wary of that. So the question is, what's your next step? Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. And thank you, Jelle, as well. So we have time for questions. Who has a question?
Jelle.
Don't go all at the same time.
Not all at the same time.
No, okay.
We don't bite.
I have a
trust.
huge list of questions. I'm just trying to think. So you said organic videos. The only thing that I know that's organic is like milk or food. Can you please explain to me, as a video dodo, what's an organic video, and why is that important for us to know?
So it's about organic. Do you want to answer this? Sorry.
No, you go ahead. Yeah.
So it's about organic search results. So those are the search results that appear the results that appear in search engines like Google, that appear just by somebody typing it in. Those are called organic. Anything else that you would see within a search engine could be an advert, could be a Google ad, so somebody's paid for it. But ideally, you want to be found naturally. You want somebody to type something in, and then your video or your content appears. And you want to be as high as possible, because we tend not to go further than the first page. So that's basically what organic means. And what video does is it helps you to appear naturally in search results without having to pay for it.
May I elaborate on that a little bit? Who knows ASOS here? ASOS.com? Exactly. Who's ever watched the video? Me too. Type in Google just any outfit and check out the videos for ASOS. You will literally find 54 pages with video, and on none of them ASOS is listed. It's YouTube, Pinterest, all these other like affiliate sites. Not one of them is ASOS. So they invest heavily in making video, but why are they not showing in Google? I have no idea. Well, I've got a feeling, but they're not doing it the right way, so they don't come up in organic search, which is a waste of time. So why do you invest all this money and don't end up really high in Google, in the Google ranking? I don't get it. So.
Okay, and so you also mentioned that we shouldn't use free video hosting platforms. I wrote down, would you suggest YouTube or Vimeo for hosting my videos?
Yeah.
And you said don't. So how do you host professionally? How do you, imagine I'm an independent retailer, I have an online shop, I want to get into video, what do I do?
Let me just explain, if I touch on the bit why you shouldn't do it, and then you can talk about the other bit.
Sure.
It really actually depends. So if you're a brand and you have an e-commerce site, you want to basically get all of your traffic on your website. We are going with the premise that video ranks very easily, and it does, within Google. So somebody sees a Google result, and they click on that little icon, that little photo, and they go straight to your website. That's what you want. When you use Vimeo or YouTube, your Vimeo or YouTube icon will appear. They will click on that video, but they will go to Vimeo or YouTube and not to your website. So that's the reason why you don't want to use those free sites. And it's a bit of a technical story, but basically, video ranks very well. The video host, in this example, a YouTube or a Vimeo, because video can't be, or content shouldn't be duplicated. Sorry, I'm going through and going with that. The host itself, the video host will always get the first result, but you want your website to get the first result, not the video host. And the reason why, it's free, you know, as they say, if it's free, you're the product. So that's what happens when you do it that way.
Yeah, because we want conversion, so we want people to go
Exactly.
to our websites to buy our products, not to go to Vimeo.
Right. Because that's where they get lost, they'll get distracted, they'll see 100 loads of other great, fantastic videos, but you don't want them to do that, you want them to stay with you.
So if you host it, get your own hosting. That's basically what we advise. So get your own hosting and make sure that you are able to add video SEO into that hosting, because that is what's going to make the big difference. If you're going to use YouTube, YouTube's going to get all the search results. If you have your own hosting and you've got video SEO, then you can get all that search result to your website. So, and that's what you're aiming for here. Yeah.
We can talk about that more during the talks if people need suggestions.
Yeah.
And so, do you have experience with video used online to get people into a store, offline, to a physical retail store, or isn't that a suitable tool?
I personally don't have that experience, but I can imagine it works that way. But I wouldn't be able to tell you from firsthand, no.
Okay.
What? Sorry?
I'm not able to tell her from firsthand this experience. Yeah.
Well, I think branding videos do that very well. So the video itself is not saying anything. It's being shown repetitively, it's very important, and then it kind of lands in the heads, and then you are more encouraged to go to the store. So yes, it's absolutely possible, but again, it's a different kind of video. If I have the option to buy online and I'm convinced that this product or this item is fantastic and great, then I don't really need to go to the shop anymore.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So that's basically, I think it was your number one tip. First, start thinking about what's the goal of doing a video in the first place.
Yeah.
Then you can determine what kind of format and then get started.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Okay. Are there any more? Oh, fantastic. We have a question. Will you briefly introduce yourself and then?
No. Okay, my name is Caterina. I would like to ask you, when you talk about add video SEO with your own hosting, I have an online shop on Shopify, and the majority of the times they ask you to bring the code from YouTube or Vimeo, also because it's already very programmed to make it light. In that case, what do you do? You know, like, because all your content is related to YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Great question.
So in that case, you have to ask Shopify to make it possible to embed different kinds of codes, different kind of hosting providers. We've had experience with a lot of hosting provider or a lot of CMS do not support different embed codes other than YouTube or Vimeo. And it's very simple. Even Magento doesn't, by default, support this. But it's not very difficult. You just need somebody who's able to code a little bit, and then you can support other types. Yeah.
And then this will be our last question.
It's the last one. You said rightly that we should use shoppable interactive videos. Is there any application that we must use to get, to be able for the customer to press the button? Or because when you are in Instagram, there are very expensive applications, so sometimes it's just to know which one works
I'll be really honest, YouTube also offers interactive video, but you have to, in order to be able to utilize that, you have to advertise them and you have to spend quite a bit of money. So the first thing you would need to do in your situation is you need to actually get your products off of YouTube and have a video in a different way. And then what we can do, I think, is it's quite an extensive story, so maybe it's a good idea if you come to us during the talk and then I can give you a bit more information about that.
Great. Well, that's the end of our time for this first morning session. Huge thank you to Jelle and Miriam for sharing their time. And For any other questions, they're going to be in the West Hall. So that's better direction than I have. In the West Hall, you can reach them for the rest of today and tomorrow as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all for coming. Thanks.